All right, let's jump right in. We're going to unpack a really fascinating and honestly pretty revolutionary idea from one of the most important artists of the 20th century. And it's an idea that, no joke, could completely change how you see yourself and, well, everyone around you forever.
So where did this all come from? Well, it started right here. Picture this. It's 1983, live television in Austria, and the artist Joseph Beuys just drops this absolute bombshell. He wasn't just saying, hey, I'm an artist, I make art. No. He was claiming to be the art, and that this wasn't just about him. It was a potential future for every single one of us.
And that really brings us to the core question of this whole thing. You've probably heard that phrase, everyone is an artist, right? But what if we push that idea just a little bit further? What if every single one of us isn't an artist, but is a work of art, right now, in this moment? What does that even mean for our daily lives?
Okay, first up, let's explore what actually happens when you start looking at the world through this new lens. How does everything change?
So, right away, we need to get a really crucial distinction straight. We've all heard that famous Beuys line, every person is an artist. And that sounds great, but it kind of implies you have to go out and make something, right? You have to create. But this idea from that interview, it's totally different. It's way more radical. It suggests we don't have to do anything at all. Just by existing, our very being, that's the art. It's something to be perceived, not produced.
And the first thing that happens when you think like this, suddenly you don't need a museum anymore. That whole idea of a special building you have to visit to see art, it just kind of dissolves.
Which leads to this incredible consequence. A simple walk down the street, that's now a trip to the Louvre. Seriously, your daily commute, going to the grocery store, just sitting in a park, all of a sudden, these are cultural events. Every public space is transformed into the world's biggest, most interesting art gallery, and it's filled with these one-of-a-kind, living, breathing works of art.
Okay, so if the world is a gallery and we're all the art in it, what does that mean for how we treat each other? Well, this is where we get into another key idea from Beuys, something he called the social sculpture.
So what is a social sculpture? Beuys had this idea that our thoughts, they're like a kind of raw material, like clay or marble. He called it a personal plastic. So the very act of thinking, of forming ideas, is like sculpting something inside your own mind. But here's the thing. Once your mind is formed, you can't help but go out and form the world around you. So that private, internal sculpture, it always becomes a social one.
And this is where it gets really powerful, because there's a huge ethical payoff here. I mean, think about it. If you genuinely see every single person as a unique work of art, how could you possibly treat them with anything less than the utmost respect? It creates this self-sustaining engine of dignity, a perpetuum mobile of respect, as the source material calls it. Pretty cool, right?
But, okay, there's a little complication here, a really subtle but important one in how Beuys originally said it. We've got to unpack this because the exact words he chose really matter.
Let's break this down. Beuys actually said work of art. But think about that word work. It sounds like something that's finished, right? Something that's been made, an object. And that can be a little dangerous because it can lead to objectifying a person. The source we're looking at actually argues that a better term would just be art. Being art isn't about being a finished product. It's about being in a state of becoming. It's open, it's subjective, it means you're a subject, not just an object to be stared at.
This all leads to a really interesting question, though. If this idea was so mind-blowing, why was Beuys himself kind of quiet about it after he proposed it? Well, maybe the art world just didn't know what to do with it. I mean, how do you put a person on display in a gallery? How do you put a price tag on an idea like this? You can't. It completely resists being turned into a commodity.
But here's the good news. The idea didn't just fade away. Nope. It was picked up by other artists who were dead set on taking this very abstract concept and making it something real, something tangible.
Enter the Joblin Factory. This is an artists collective that basically took up the challenge. They decided to see if they could actually, artistically, realize this thought experiment from Beuys. So they're not just talking about it, they're creating actual objects and experiences that are designed to make you, the viewer, see the world this way. And their work, they call it memento multiples. It takes all kinds of forms. You've got salmon art, which are these radical, organic sculptures. Then there's flesh art, which includes things like stylish shirts and accessories. And then, maybe most directly, are there mirror multiples, which literally force you to look at yourself and confront the idea head on.
And their whole method, it's really important to understand. And yeah, it can be a little provocative. They use materials like dead flesh, whether it's from the salmon or just in their designs. And the whole point is to kind of shock you into a new awareness of your own living flesh, to make you conscious of your own presence as this living, breathing being.
And that's what brings this whole big idea full circle, right back to where it matters most, with you. This isn't just some dusty old theory from art history class. This is about a personal revolution.
Okay, remember that idea of the social sculpture? The whole thing about our thoughts shaping a material inside of us, that personal plastic? Well, here's the final piece of the puzzle. That molded mind, that plastic you create every single day just by thinking, that is art.
And just like that, the thought experiment comes home. The whole intellectual journey leads to this one simple, direct, and unbelievably powerful statement. It's not that you could be art. It's not that you should go make art. It's that you, right now, just as you are art. So, I'll leave you with this. If you really take this idea on board, if you start to see yourself and every single person you meet as a unique, unrepeatable work of art, what changes? Who will you see when you look in the mirror tomorrow?